Welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And the Leafs had a 5-game win streak going, but of course it ended. All things have to come to an end, unfortunately, and it wasn't pretty. But we'll get into that, and we want to take the time to thank everyone who took the time to vote for Ladies Talking Leafs in the Sports Podcast Awards.
Yes, we are finalists in the 2025 Sports Podcast Awards for Best Hockey Podcast, and we're also up for the Diverse Voices Award. Voting is now closed, and winners will be announced on January 30th. So everyone cross your fingers that we will be a winner for the second year in a row. And of course, we thank you so much to everyone who has supported us thus far.
For sure. Okay, so a quick note to let you know about our show sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion.
With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball to NHL and UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Please gamble responsibly, though. If you or someone you know needs some support or advice, you can reach out to Connex Ontario or an organization near you.
All right. So, another quick note, I guess, just on the Toronto Marlies, our AHL team. Congrats to their captain, Logan Shaw, and forward Alex Steeves for being named to the 2025 AHL All-Star Game, which is going to be held in Thousand Palms, California from February 2nd to the 3rd. Head coach John Gruden was also named a head coach of the North Division for the All-Star Game. So congratulations to our Marlies. And
that's good news. Good news.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to get into the show, and we're going to start with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sadly, there is some ugliness to talk about this time around.
First one of the season, too.
That's right. And then we're going to run the Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel. And then for our third period segment, we're going to chat a little bit about the upcoming Four Nations Cup and a lot more. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
Okay, so the good, the bad, the ugly. Let me tell you, it took a while for me to find some good, although the first part of the 2 weeks was good, so I don't know. Anyways, my good is the penalty kill. I managed to pick that out from the last couple of weeks of the Leafs games, and right now we're third in the league, courtesy of Yahoo Sports stats. 83.6%, just behind the Canes and the Dallas Stars, who
that's actually a really big improvement over the course of the season.
Yeah.
So,
and it helps. Obviously, we have Chris Tanev, who is the leader by one right now in the block shot department, with 122 block shots. And our goaltending has been solid all year long, or all season long. So
they're the number one penalty killer on the team.
But I mean, Lane Lambert, he just has, I just love the passion that he shows behind the bench all the time when they are on the kill. He's always going back and forth down the bench, like making sure all the guys are ready, know what to do in those situations. Yeah.
He's so dialed in, dialed in.
Yeah. And I guess he has his main key pairings, I guess, being like Marner and Matthews are mostly together on the PK, and then Kampf and Lorentz. And sometimes it's switched up, but they've been key penalty killers. And then Matthew Nyes is obviously switched in from time to time. If one of those guys, like Kampf, got the penalty last night, if one of those guys is out, then Nyes switches in to be a penalty killer. But yeah, no, I'm liking that part of the special teams. We won't get into the other part, yet. But yeah, I'm liking the penalty kill right now, and it needs to continue that way, hopefully.
Well, I guess this is just more proof that, they've really been working on the defensive side of the game for this team so far going through the season. Because I think these are the things that you need to have down. They don't want them thinking about it too much. When it comes down to it in the playoffs, these are the things that are supposed to be rote automatic. So I'm just going to go with that And that's why the offense is sort of not that great right now. But moving on to my good, I'm going to go with Simon Benoit right now. I just think that over the last little while, he's quietly been putting together a really, really good, solid game. It's interesting. Over the last 5 games, he's played really well, except for last night, which is interesting. Like I was just noticing that, with his stats, last night he was like a -2, which is not the greatest. He played the least. So, and he had no hits last night and only 2 blocks. The previous games he had, I guess there's the one game against Philly. He had 7 hits, 2 blocks. So he's basically been a hitting machine and just making really good plays. Very calm game. That's what I've seen. But last night, he did not have any hits, only 2 blocks, and he paid the price with his time on ice. So, but I've just been happy with, and I just noticed too that he really hasn't been in the box that much. And for, leading up to this time, he's taking some dumb penalties every game, and he's really kind of erased that a little bit now. So I went with him because he's like quietly putting together a really good season so far, I think.
Yeah. And
dependable.
Yeah. And when you say last night, just to let our listeners know, we're recording on the Sunday. So it was the game versus Vancouver Canucks where basically everybody was not
that's true. Like nobody was good last night.
Yeah.
And he didn't play his best game either. But
he didn't.
He wasn't horrible, but nothing to write home about.
I didn't realize this, but I guess upon looking at the replay, like he knocked in I think it was the second goal. He was the one that knocked in the puck into the net
Probably
himself
that's
a little
what
bit. But
left him riding the pine a little bit more yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
But no, he's basically, I just like when he goes to engage with the opposition too, and just his demeanor, and you could just see his facial expressions, and that is like, what do you want from me? Like, it's like just stay away from my goalie, and like and everything is fine, sort of thing. But he's he's a D-man, right? He's dependable and just does his job. Maybe for him, maybe the kid was up late on the Friday night or something, right? Who knows, right? But he's definitely put together a solid season. And like you said, he is getting away from those penalties that he was taking. So that's a good thing, because although our PK is good, we don't need to have extra practice on it. All right, let's get on to the bad. Bad for me is Ryan Reeves. A lot of people have been picking on, let's just say, Ryan Reeves the last little bit, in the media, everywhere, fans, because I don't know, there is this question now, is that his type of game and his role, is it still, like, is there a place for it in the game today? And not just with our team, but in the game today. But I mean, he got into that game. The thing that I noticed a lot, he got into that game versus Philly in Philadelphia. And obviously Craig Berube put him in because, like, the game before versus Philly, like, that's the one that Garnet Hathaway took out Jake McCabe on, basically in the fight with him, and basically just put his head through the ice. And I'm assuming that's why he put Reeves in, to kind of counter that, or try to get some physicality in there, like not to go after Hathaway and take a stupid penalty or anything like that, but challenge a little bit. But no, it was Connor Dwyer that had the fight.
Yeah.
Right. Instead, I mean, I know a lot of people say nobody wants to fight Ryan Reeves because they know they're.
Yeah, but what I look at is like Pacioretty, for example. You know, even last night, like he tried to throw a big hit.
Yeah.
And the thing is that he's not just there to fight. He's there for the physicality, like you're mentioning.
The energy. Yeah.
So it's almost like that, after the whole thing with Darnell Nurse, he is I don't know if he's afraid to engage that way because he feels like he's going to, take it a little too far or something. But honestly,
because the refs are obviously going to
watch him.
Take him out of the scrum. Let's just say.
I wonder if that kind of bit of caution that he has is taking something away from his game. But to me, I think he just needs to forget about that, go in and do what he needs to do. And I mean, if he gets suspended again, does it really matter if it turns things around for us in that game, I guess? I don't know. That's what he's here for. And if he's not doing his job, laying the body, we're not paying him to score goals.
No. No. And so at the beginning of the season, when it was, I believe it was it was Dewar, I think, with in the middle with Lawrence and Reeves. Mm-hmm. Right. It was either Dewar or Kampf because Kampf was injured earlier, but they had like a bit of a chemistry going there. And it was
they were bringing energy.
Yeah.
Which is what they need to do. They need to be mucking it up in there, laying the body on guys and getting the play to the offensive zone and getting the stops there. Yeah. And that's just not happening right now.
Yeah. So it's not happening, and he's not in the lineup again now. Versus the Canes, he wasn't there. And then
I don't care if people don't want to fight him.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you need to engage.
Yeah.
If they don't want to drop the gloves, fine. Let it be. But you need to lay the body on people and do your job.
Get in the corners, get in front of the net. Be an annoyance, basically, right?
100%.
Without being stupid about it. And he's been in the league a long time. He should know that.
And he's a chirper too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of your role.
For sure.
I don't know. Yeah. So, but I guess it is hard, too, at his age, probably, when you're in and out of the lineup as well. It's, then you have to kind of restart every time. Yeah. And that can't be easy. But I just feel like the fourth line right now doesn't really have the same energy that it did at the beginning of the season, consistently. I don't think.
Yeah, because only 2/3 of the line.
Part of that.
Yeah, only 2/3 of the line generally is working. Camp is kind of off and on, and Dewar and Lawrence, Stephen Lawrence, they're both been pretty good. They've both most of the time, but I don't know. Reeves needs to figure it out. Basically, Ryan Reeves. Yeah,
100%.
So what's your bad?
Okay, well, I'm gonna call out one of our top guns again.
And then he's going to have a fabulous game next game. Yeah.
Hopefully. But I'm calling out Mitch Marner. I just feel like over this last 5-game stretch, since that Boston game, when they were clicking on all cylinders, to me, he's been kind of invisible. He's got basically 3 points in the last 4 games since. Yeah. And I was debating, do I call out just Mitch? Do I call out Austin Matthews? Do I call out them together? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like they've really not, since that Boston game, I don't know what happened. I'm wondering if they should just not do these mentor trips anymore, because maybe they had too much fun while they were, out or whatever with the mentees, barbecue. With the mentors, too much barbecue
in Carolina.
But first, our team looked slow last night versus Vancouver. And there was absolutely no excuse for that. So, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I just feel like he hasn't been his magic self. I just don't see him creating anything out there right now the way he typically does. So I'm calling him out because he needs to be better. He needs to always be if not our best player, noticeable and one of the best players every night, in my opinion.
And this is the quote that he had last night after the game versus Vancouver. Mm-hmm. He was asked about whether or not he thought it was what the game, what happened in that game and what he thought of it. And he said, Mitch Marner said, "I liked it. I thought we played well." And then he went on. Let me find the other part of it. I really did. Yeah, that's what I said. I liked it. I thought we played well. I really did. The last couple of games, we've been giving up plays to teams that aren't, and they aren't missing on them. on the plays that they make. So he's basically saying it's a bad bounce for them, and we didn't get the bounce. But I mean, we'll get into that game a little bit, but we only had versus Vancouver 20 shots on goal. And they weren't.
It was a low event game in general by both teams, you know. So like even after 2 periods, I think each team only had 15 shots.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand. I mean, I was saying to myself, maybe because he's not getting bashed by the fans so much this season because he has been playing great, and he's decided I need some action coming out from social media or whatever to basically get back on me or something like that, to get back in the media, because how can you say something like that? And then on the reverse, Chris Tanev, he was asked the same question, or basically the same question. He's like, not good enough. They outworked us, outcompeted us, and that's why they won.
Well, I mean, to me though, this is like
two ends of
these are the things that we need to remember.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to file this comment away.
Right.
For future. Yeah. Because this is the thing, is that when things don't go well, Mitch Marner does not like to take responsibility. He's never the one to say, I've got to be better. Never. And that is maybe his fatal flaw. So let's just file this away, because things have been going well all season so far.
Yeah.
We haven't really had as many opportunities to, you know, criticize in this way or, you know, look at this and at what he says. The press has been pretty easy on him so far this season. There haven't been a lot of tough questions. Yeah. So, let's just put this away in the file cabinet and we'll see if we have to pull it out again somewhere down the road.
All right. So moving on to the ugly.
Yes, we actually, mind you, I think we need to celebrate somewhat that our first ugly is not coming out until January 2025.
That's right. Yeah. No,
so
that's
actually a good thing. And that just speaks to how, you know, the roller coaster has not been very fun. So if you're going to the amusement park this year, it hasn't been that much fun for you. But yeah, so far it's been pretty stable. Not too many ups, not too many downs. Yeah. Surprising.
But this power play, it sucks right now.
Well, and last night, I'm sorry,
ugly.
It was horrible.
Yes.
Horrible. Actually, they were doing nothing but standing. That's the thing is, they don't move.
Well, yeah.
And the other team has like basically no worries trying to figure out because they're standing still.
Yeah.
No puck movement, no skating, nothing.
A few things I just don't understand with it is, I mean, we're 19th in the NHL at 20.6%, which is horrific for the players that we have on that power play. That's
and considering we're at the top of our division, like that's amazing. I don't even know. It's 100%.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Like it's pretty incredible that we have such a bad power play and we're that.
They're back. What I don't understand is they were like ripping it around. When Matthews wasn't there, he was injured. They were ripping that puck around, having like smooth passes, entering the zone smoothly. And they had the skating, the speed, everything. They were doing everything well. He comes back and it's almost like it just disrupts the whole thing. I don't know what Mark Savard is telling them to do when Matthews comes back, but it's just horrific right now. And that drop pass thing has come back again, which
last night was
and
basically a prevalent feature.
Yeah. And from what you were just saying about last night, actually on the power play, they were 0 for 3 versus Vancouver. And
we lost 3-0.
Yeah. Although the one goal was a 6-on-5, but whatever, they were going to get the penalty. But no, the interesting stat, this is courtesy of, I believe it was Sport Logic from Luke Fox, anyways, at Sportsnet. On the power play, the total shots were even for those three power plays. The total shots were even at 2 apiece. Like that's how ugly it was. So like Vancouver got 2 shots. And we got 2 shots total on those 3 power plays.
That is brutal.
It's just awful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like they were just terrible. I I don't know. I wonder, Liz, remember when Matthews first came back and I said that I reserve the right to say, you know, whether he's looking 100% or not, because when you first come back, you're going to have some adrenaline and you might look better than you really are.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's what's happened. I still don't think he's like near 100%. And when he's playing, they try to, you know, everything goes through him on the power play. And
the other thing is though, like I said it at the beginning of the season, why don't they try that thing that Tampa had going when they had Stamkos and Kucherov, one on each wing to fire it in? Like they still don't. Now they put Matthews, because I know why. Like he's had a couple of good plays on the power play in front of the net, but it's not good for him to be in front of the net because he's going to be taking more abuse in there too. He needs to be he needs that shot going again is what it is. Right. And Willie on the other side with his shot. And it's like, why not try that? Like try something else rather than this slow puck movement in the zone. And
but I just feel like their passing in general,
it's been off,
has not been good.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I don't like
in that regard. Like, I feel like that's probably part of the reason why their power play is stinking so bad now is their passing is just crap.
Yeah. And even though Morgan Riley's not playing great, I don't like the idea of the 5 forwards either.
No, they've been burned with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're just,
and it's kind of two parts, my ugly, because I just want to talk a little bit more about this Vancouver game versus the Canucks and the comments that were made and some interesting ideas that were coming out of that that we talked about before with your bad, where Mitch said he liked the game and even Morgan Riley said it wasn't that bad of a game. But then you have Tanev saying what he said, that it was like no compete and they outworked us. And Craig Berube just kept reiterating there was no energy and there was no...
plainly obvious. Throughout the whole lineup. And
he said that for the game against Carolina too. So there's like two voices. Now those two voices are new to us this season. And then the other two have always been there. And it's January and the Leafs are in first place. So kind of like they're saying like and I can understand this. It's like a malaise. They kind of know they're going to be in the playoffs. They're in first place right now. Oh, let's just take it easy now.
So this is where
Will
has to nip it in the butt.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you can't carry that energy into the playoffs.
No.
You have to be ramping up. You can't back off.
Or at least being balanced, not being totally out of the game, like playing the way they did against Vancouver. So this is going to be interesting moving forward now to see how Berube and how like players like Tanev, who are leaders, and hopefully Jake McCabe will come back. I know he was here last year, but he's a leader in the room, and just to see how their influence in the room will hopefully change that mentality of just not like come January that basically, oh, well, we played great now. And now we're in first place. So let's just forget about the rest of the season. Right.
Well, I feel like they, yes, they do this kind of every year. And I feel like it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, they feel that they can always come back. You know what I mean?
You got to get rid of that mentality. But that's the thing.
That's the problem. That's why I say that's a good thing to have that confidence and know that you can always come back. But the problem is that they've been doing this every year and not getting a good result. So you can't keep doing
exactly.
You have to stay sharp.
Yeah.
And last year, Florida, that's exactly what they did. They did not take any games off any day, any time of the season.
For the whole season. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Just kept going. Yeah. 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 No, so it's going to be interesting moving forward to see what Berube does. But what's your ugly?
Well, my ugly is just basically that top line being -6 versus the Canes in that game, which that was also like completely horrific. I think we kind of talked a little bit about the themes, so I'm not going to say much more than that. But,
well, it was just funny that in the Vancouver game, it just continued because it was the first goal that they were on.
Yeah.
That Matthews and Marner. So they had they had the minus right away to start the game, 37 seconds or whatever it was into the game. So
yeah. And I mean, like, and I this goes back to my, impression of Mitch lately is that, he's one of our top defensive players. Yeah. So if he's letting his foot off the gas that much where, he's okay with being -6.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know. I'm not cool with that.
Yeah. That's not okay.
No.
No. All right. So the last couple of games were pretty bad. I think we've talked enough about the bad. But before that, the Leafs had a 5-game winning streak going. So of course we do have some highlight reel moments. So let's roll it.
Yes, absolutely. So coming in at number 3, we have Bobby McMann. McMahon was our star of the week in last week's quick hit episode, and his first goal versus the Islanders in New York was what we love to see. So McMahon came off the bench and just drove down the wing and took a pass from Nick Robertson and just ripped it past Islanders goalie Sorokin.
Yeah. So that's what we like to see. And,
and I would like to say that the one line that did have some spark last night was that third line.
Yes. Yeah. Domi. I noticed him.
Yeah. But Domi was the weak link on that line, I would have to say, because, he passes when he shouldn't passes and shoots when he shouldn't shoot. It should be the other way around. But anyways.
Yeah. But anyways, they were noticeable.
This is about Bobby right now.
Yeah. And this is about Bobby right now. Yeah. Because he had a great few games, and and that's what you like to see him going to the net. That's what he's supposed to be doing. He's a big body and just being ready, noticing the play and noticing that Robertson was in behind the net at first, and then he managed to get the puck out. And that's the engagement part of it, coming off the bench, making sure you're ready, have your stick down, and he just ripped it. So that's what we want to see more of from Bobby McMann.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, we do have Austin Matthews, because in that game where he was a -6 he was on for all 6 goals versus the Canes. But he did have the nice goal to tie the game, and it was on the power play too. How ironic.
Yes, we definitely have to shout out those moments.
Yeah. But Matthews fought through the traffic and scored on the backhand while he was going down. It was a nice goal, but now I hope he hasn't re-aggravated anything, because the game versus the Canucks, he was MIA, missing in action. I loved that goal. I watched the highlight again of it, but but being in front of the net, I don't think Tavares is there as well. And so Matthews just above him, but I want to see Austin Matthews shooting with that shot. And if that's an issue right now, he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But that, it was a nice goal and worthy of being on our highlight reel.
For sure. All right. So coming in at number 1, Matthew Knies, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Knies seems to like playing versus the Bruins, and his second goal in the third period of the game was a beauty, where he did a spin around move and put it past Bruins goalie Jeremy Swayman. Knies went on to get a hat trick that night, his first of his career, which was pretty spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it was a really good night, and that was a really good game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that they had it that night, and that's what
For
they
sure.
need. You can't have it every night like that, but sure. You have to be even just below that, right? You got to have that energy, get up for those opponents, the same way you would against like Carolina or the Canucks or whoever sort of thing, right? You have to do that. But Matthew Knies, he's been it was the whole line versus the Canes that had the -6. So it's not just him, but he's been playing really, really well lately, using his body again. And
Yeah, I knew that he would be happy to have his tennis partner back on his line. Yeah. And of course, they did click right away. And I think that just gave him a little bit of extra energy. And like you said, I think, he likes playing against the Bruins. He likes playing against Tampa. Those are two teams that we may see more of coming down the road there.
Yeah.
All right. So Austin Matthews and Jeremy Swayman are both on the roster for Team USA for the upcoming Four Nations Faceoff. And for our third period segment, we're going to chat about the tournament and what's going on with the teams around the Atlantic Division.
Yeah. So it's actually hard to believe that we are only a month away from the Four Nations Faceoff tournament. Game 1 for Team Canada will be on Wednesday, February 12th versus Sweden in Montreal at the Bell Centre. I don't know. I was trying to gauge the fan excitement for this because there is the odd comment from the media, right? But I mean, when I was growing up for these I wouldn't say it's obviously it's Olympics or it's actually meaningful, international games. Fans were excited about it. They were talking about the players, this and that, and just I don't know, just getting ready to say who they're going to play. And I even forgot that because I'm so focused on the USA team and Team Canada playing US on the Saturday, I forgot we're actually playing on Sweden on the Thursday. So it's or on the Wednesday, I guess, right? Game 1, we're playing versus Sweden. So, I don't know if right now, the NHL has put in some, on social media, they're plugging it a little bit. I've seen stuff. But I don't know. I looked up the tickets, actually, the ticket sales in Montreal. And for the game versus the US, I looked at because I figured that's the most popular, obviously. But at the very top of the Bell Centre, oh my God. We haven't even sat there. I was oh my God.
We've close.
We've been close, but not at the very top. $565 for the ticket.
What?
Yeah. This is a resale ticket, but still.
Oh, yeah. They're not getting that in the end, though. There's no way.
How is that?
Pay that.
Especially in their top of their building. That is way up.
Yeah.
I'm I don't know. It was section 432 that I saw at the Bell Centre, and the interesting. The championship game in Boston. The tickets for that game are $300 US for a championship game, which I thought actually
seems more reasonable.
And that's for a seat. There's again, it's at the top. I've not been to TD Garden, but in Boston, but there's a lot of standing room there, which I was interested to know, because there's from about 190 US to about 250, 275 US is the standing room, the balcony level or whatever. But I don't know. There's still lots of tickets available, so I don't know how people are that excited about it, if they are.
Well, I think part of it is because there's a whole generation almost now, because these kinds of events have been so few and far between that really haven't seen these. Yeah. So what would they get excited about? There's nothing, they've got no frame of reference for it. Most of them were young when these teams were even still playing in the Olympics, a lot of them.
Right.
So I just kind of feel there's to them, it probably is not going to be much different in feel to the All-Star games, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
They have to get the players more into it.
Yeah, that's
a little trash talking could go a long way with getting fan bases a little bit more interested. Maybe, I don't know.
I guess.
And they've got to ramp. And I'm sure they will over the next month or so ramp up the advertising for this.
Yeah, but
they got McDonald's involved with their showdown menu.
That's true. Yeah. So, but no. And then the other thing, I guess I thought we'd talk about a bit is this whole idea of the players that weren't selected to the team. I guess the notable players that are having, I guess on Sportsnet, they had this Of course, they didn't mention John Tavares, who is also having a great season and could have been, I guess, a part of it anyways, as even an extra forward. But Zach Hyman actually has been playing really good. He's come back from the start of his season, I guess, since December 4th. It shows that Zach Hyman has 16 points in 16 games. Mark Scheifele he's been playing phenomenal. As much as I can't stand the guy when he plays the Leafs. He's 21 points in 16 games.
Yeah, and I mean that McDavid Hyman combo.
Yeah,
they might be regretting not having that.
Yeah,
up their sleeve.
And then Logan Thompson. This is the one
that might bite us in the butt
for the goaltending because he's 7-1-0 since December 4th, I guess, and he has a save percentage of .928. Right, so. Yeah, those are some notable omissions from that, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how how these players that weren't chosen, how it kind of affects. Like you look at, for example, I think it's Travis Sanheim, the defenseman on Team Canada. They picked from Philadelphia. Like I didn't even notice. I think it's Sanheim is his name. I'm just going to try and look it up here. Travis Sanheim. He plays in Philadelphia, right?
Yep.
So he was chosen because of his skating ability, like as being smooth skater and moving defenseman. When we played him, the Leafs, last week, like I didn't notice the guy. Maybe that's a good thing, but to have him as a part, and then I guess the other one is Seth Jarvis, who also, unfortunately, we have a connection with the Leafs, but he was chosen for Team Canada. He is a really good player, but whether or not he's better than Mark Scheifele, I don't know. As a option,
I don't know.
Right?
I'm looking at what they did with the junior team this year. I'm not sure I trust the people picking these things right now. So, anyways, I guess we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Our team does have quite a lot of experience, though. So,
that's I think what they're going on. Obviously, like with Sidney Crosby being the leader, obviously, of it all. But I don't think they haven't named the captain. I don't think yet. I don't know.
I don't think so, but it's got to have to be him.
It's got to be him. Yeah, and but I don't know what are the stats that we got there for some of these.
We're just leading into that. We have some really interesting stats actually about the teams from NHL.com. So the Florida Panthers have the most players selected across all four teams in the tournament, actually. In the 2015 draft class actually dominates with 16 players named to the Four Nations rosters, including Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and Mitch Marner. Canada and Sweden have the oldest rosters with an average age of 29 and a half. And the US is the youngest at 27 and a half. And Team Finland has an average age of 28.4. The thing that stood out to me looking at some of these stats too, is that talking about the experience, Canada obviously has the most international experience, with I think every player having some, but for the U.S. team
and winning medals too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But for the U.S. team, the highest that any of them have, first of all, they have the least experienced team as far as international hockey goes. Right. But beyond that, they have basically no international experience on that team above World Juniors is the highest level.
Oh, wow. Well,
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense too, because they are, the U.S. seems to be up and coming, basically.
For sure.
Like to be the team that's, because you see it from the World Juniors, like they're winning the last two. And their program is just, it's just developing to take it to the higher levels. So we'll see what happens, I guess, in this Four Nations tournament. Again, it's not, to me, I mean, you're missing Russia there. And
yes.
Yeah. And even Czechia they've got some good players. And they did well. They beat Canada. So, I mean, in the juniors, but yeah, so we'll see.
I guess this round is going to be these 4 teams, and it's possible that, in, future iterations of this tournament, they're going to start expanding it. Yeah. Because I think even Germany in the World Juniors, that's a team that's up and coming, and there's some pretty good German players that are not playing in this tournament right now.
Yeah. We probably don't have to mention the one name. Yeah.
But there's a few others also. So yeah. Anyway, it's, it's difficult because obviously some other countries, there's slightly smaller pool to pull from, and then you can't make a full team necessarily. That would be potentially, competitive.
That are in the NHL. Yeah. That's the whole idea from the NHL pool of players. Yeah.
But I think this tournament is going to be mostly for bragging rights right now.
Yes.
And it's got not a lot of meaning, and it's I guess a tryout of sorts potentially for the Olympics
for next year internationally. Yeah. And even the World Championships, I guess, in April or May when they come around. But yeah. All right. So let's return to the regular NHL games now. Then we're going to take a look at the Atlantic Division. Just quickly go through the teams. As of Sunday, when we're recording this podcast, the Leafs sit atop the Atlantic with 56 points. 3 points ahead of Florida, and the Panthers have a game in hand. Actually, a lot of Tampa has 3 games in hand. I think they're playing today as well. And one interesting thing I just want to mention from last night, I guess Elliot Friedman showed the last time the Leafs led the division in the regular season on January 11th was 2003-04 with, I guess, Sundin, Belfour, Pat Quinn was the coach.
We did pretty well that season, I recall.
Yeah, we did. So that's we
didn't win the big prize, but
no,
we got past more than one round, though. Let's just say,
let's just say that. And so with the Florida teams, though, I thought I had to look up some things because I know one thing that interested me about a week or so ago. I guess Florida was playing the Carolina Hurricanes, and Paul Maurice, their head coach, just laid into the team. His face, he was just going up and down that bench, behind the bench. I don't know what was going, obviously they must not have been playing well. And it just reminded me of that time when it turned around their season, basically, not last season, the season before in 2023. When he was in Toronto, and he basically did that. He went on this rant, right? And he had this rant going a week or so ago behind the bench. And they actually were on a losing streak at that point. And, they've managed to turn around a little bit. But I don't know. It's interesting. You don't hear too much about them and Tampa. Tampa actually had a 4-game losing streak going. They were in the first week of January, they were out in California, doing the California road trip. They lost all 3 games there. So John Cooper couldn't have been.
And that's the thing. We haven't even had our West Coast swings. Either of them. Yeah. Which is surprising. And now we're going to have 2 of them in this second half of the season. So.
Yeah. And we haven't played them either, the Florida team, since late November.
Yeah.
Right? we had a loss to the Panthers. That was a horrible game, actually, I think, from what I remember, in Florida. And then in Tampa, we won in Tampa. We had one, it was kind of total ends of the spectrum. One horrible game in Florida, and then they had one of their best games of the season in Tampa. Right. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there with those 2 teams. But Tampa does have quite a few games in hand, and well, and which is why, you can't let your foot off the gas.
No. Yeah. This team this year needs to win this division.
Yes, for sure. They need to stay away from playing those 2 teams.
For sure.
Totally. Although, when it comes to the Bruins, they're in the wild card spot right now in the first the first wild card spot. But they're a mess right now. They had a little bit of a bump from the new coach bump, but they're hanging on to the first wild card spot right now. And now there's this thing that came out from I believe it was a Boston podcast, where they said that there was some rift between Marchand and Pasternak. And yeah, that was all over the media on Friday, I guess it was.
I saw some things where Marchand's been
he's
been quoted with some things.
Basically, right? Like to stop it and to say that the guy shouldn't have a job now, whoever made this up. But I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if this guy was a credible source or anything like that, even on the media channels like Sportsnet and like Kipper and Bourne and Overdrive. They were saying the same thing. They have no idea about who this guy, the podcast is.
There's lots of drama all over the league right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was similar to the way, I guess, like in Vancouver with the two players having Pettersson and Miller having an issue. But that one, I mean, everybody seems to know that it's actually valid. This one, I don't know. But it's just kind of funny how it's like.
Yeah, but just goes to show you, though, that they can put that stuff behind them for one night and win a game in Toronto that they shouldn't have even had any business winning, given that they got in so late and everything. But
I have to say, too, though, it would have been nice because I have heard this comment as well. It would have been nice to say to Brad Marchand, because he's had to face all these questions about it now. Like the way all these players say, oh, it only happens in Toronto. Would be nice to say to him, oh, so Brad, this only happens in Toronto, right? You only get the bright lights when it comes to these types of things in Toronto. But yeah, anyways. And moving on to, I guess, with the new coach again is Detroit. The Red Wings, they've been on fire, actually.
And they're playing with that last wild card as well. Spot.
Yeah.
Kind of going up and down here.
Yeah. Yeah. They're on a 6-game winning streak now. And the thing that I noticed too, I was watching a bit of their game versus the Blackhawks and on Friday night, and they're actually third in the league on the power play. So maybe the Leafs should take a look at their power play or something, right? Because we definitely have a lot, like personnel-wise. Sorry, I mean, we have quite a bit better, let's just say, or more veteran players that should be producing a lot more. So maybe Mark Savard should take a look at their power play schemes, because they're running at 27%, third in the league. And yeah, they're on a 6-game winning streak. And then our lovely Habs, they're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. And they have 3 games. They have 3 games on the Bruins, though, like 3 games in hand.
I know. So that's a team that I don't want to meet in the first round.
No. Yeah. And I don't think it's January, right?
I mean, it's a team that we should beat regardless. But they just have they're so fast. Yeah. And they've got this really fast breakout. And
they have Lane Hudson, the rookie player. Yeah. He's their top player, top rookie in the NHL right now with 32 points. So, I mean, he's the one that everybody's really watching. But I don't think this is going to last. Like, I just think that they're just on a heater right now a little bit. And, and it'll end. Right. And then the Senators, they were on the road forever because the World Juniors took over their building there.
That's another potential team that could land in the final spot. And that's
we mentioned that with Mike,
interesting.
Yeah. With our insider, we mentioned that to say whether or not them, I actually think that they could get in, but it's the goaltending issues there with this with this Linus Ullmark. Like, I don't know what he's doing what he did in Buffalo, I think, like where he was injured half the time. I guess it's a back injury. He's been out since December 22nd. But I mean, I don't know if he needs to have that tandem like the way he had in Boston.
I was just going to say, like, maybe that was the magic, those two guys, because neither of them have been as good by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, Swayman a little bit better, but and not as injury prone, obviously, but it just kind of feels like that was sort of the magic, was the two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's now that they're on different teams, now it's just not there anymore, right?
No.
It's not there. So,
which is why for us, we definitely need that Wall Stolars combo, because that for sure was our magic.
Yeah.
To start the season as well.
Stolars, there was an update yesterday. I think
he's skating. He's skating now.
Yeah. So again, I think it's just going to be after that Four Nations Cup that that he'll make a return. So it's good in a way to have that little 2-week break there for that reason, for the infirmary to get our guys healthy again. But yeah, so it is early to be watching these standings, but because there are a lot of games to be played, and there are going to be a lot of games packed into the schedule after the NHL comes back from that Four Nations Cup.
Yeah, and the Leafs have a really, really tough schedule after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of tough schedules, it starts this week. They're going to face some good teams, and they're going to have to be a lot better than they have the last couple of games. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the first couple games, we play at home versus the Dallas Stars. And then it's the return of Sheldon Keefe to Toronto when the New Jersey Devils come to town. Then on Saturday night, we're speaking of the Habs. We're going to be visiting them at the Bell Center in Montreal before coming back home to play the Lightning again next Monday night, which I guess is going to be another Amazon Prime showdown. So that was the game we were referring to before. That was so good. So hopefully we'll have another good game
those
versus Tampa on that Monday night.
Two divisional games, right?
Yeah.
That we need.
Got to get those.
The Habs one especially. I mean, being at home, we got to win that Tampa game too. But I mean, there's no reason we better be up for that game versus the Habs. It's interesting. All of our 3 games this season that we've been shut out are versus the Canadian teams: Ottawa, Montreal, and Vancouver. We were shut out.
It's disgraceful.
So it has to stop, and it's going to stop on Saturday night versus the Habs. And the Dallas and New Jersey games, I mean, Dallas has been kind of funny this year. They are a good team, obviously, really good, but they're not right at the top there in their division. So whereas New Jersey is, they're much, they have like a top power play. I think they're second in the league in the power play. Sheldon Keefe has them going, right? And he has a good goalie. They finally have a goaltender there in Markstrom, Jacob Markstrom. So,
but we've still managed to beat them so far this year in our meetings previous. Yeah. So we need to pile that on. Yeah.
All right, so we'll be back next week with a Leafs Quick Hits episode. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you're listening to our show. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And you can also find us on the Believe Network at Believe.com. It's BLEAV.com. We would also love to hear from you. Be sure to leave us a rating or review. Feedback from our listeners is really important, and we thank you for taking the time.
And another way to help us out is by visiting our Ko-fi page at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there. And if you choose to, you can support us by buying us a coffee. Any donation helps us produce the show and making it even better for you. So you can find the link to our Ko-fi page on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
And thank you to our healthcare workers and first responders for all that they do.
And we thank you, as always, for listening and watching Ladies Talkin' Leafs, presented by Bet Online. Till next time, go Leafs, go.